There are moments in history when the ground shifts beneath our feet so quietly that most people barely notice. And then suddenly we look up and realize the world we thought we understood has already changed. If we're honest with ourselves, that's where we are right now. Artificial intelligence isn't just transforming our tools or our industries, it's reshaping how we see one another, how we work, how we make decisions, and even how we define truth. And somehow, in all this noise, we're being asked to hold on to something steady, something human. But the real question is whether we're ready to shape this technology with the same care we demand from each other or whether we'll let it shape us instead. I think back to the mid 2020s, this strange accelerating chapter when breakthroughs started coming faster than our ability to process them. 1 month, AI could write a basic email. The next, it was drafting legal arguments, diagnosing illnesses, composing symphonies, even outperforming seasoned coders on problems that once took teams of people weeks to unravel. And while some folks celebrated efficiency and opportunity, others saw the cracks forming, jobs at risk, privacy eroding, misinformation spreading like wildfire. Entire communities felt the pressure of a world moving quicker than their ability to keep pace. You could sense the uncertainty, the fear, but you could also feel a deeper question pulsing underneath it all. What does progress mean if it leaves our humanity behind? For me, this isn't theoretical. When I was organizing on the south side of Chicago, I learned early that progress is never just about systems, it's about people, families trying to hold on, workers worried about their future, folks navigating forces so big they can barely name them. And later in the Oval Office, when we started early conversations about the future of I saw the same tension. Scientists brimming with hope, advocates urging caution, leaders trying to find the balance between innovation and the values that hold a democracy together. I remember thinking, half joking, half serious, that the hardest part wasn't understanding the technology, it was figuring out how to make sure we didn't lose ourselves along the way. Because if there's one lesson public life teaches you, it's that leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about being clear-eyed enough to name the risks, humble enough to listen, and steady enough to chart a path that honors everyone at the table. As the technology accelerated, so did the dilemmas. If an algorithm makes a biased decision, who do you hold accountable? When AI can fabricate words in your own voice or create images that never happened, how do you protect truth? And if automation reshapes entire industries, how do you ensure workers aren't left stranded on the shore of someone else's progress? These aren't just technical questions, they're moral ones. They force us to reckon with what kind of society we want to build. A society where innovation serves all of us, or one where power concentrates in fewer and fewer hands. A society where technology strengthens democratic trust, or one where disinformation corrodes the very foundation of our civic life. And beneath it all, there's this quiet, stubborn truth. Progress only bends toward justice when we push it there together. But, even with all these challenges, I've never lost faith in our ability to rise to the moment. Maybe it's because I've seen what ordinary people can do when they refuse to give up. I've watched communities rebuild after devastation. I've seen young people lead movements with clarity and courage. And I've witnessed scientists, activists, entrepreneurs, and teachers come together, not because they agree on everything, but because they believe we owe something to the future. That same spirit is what gives me hope now, not blind optimism, but the steady conviction that if we approach AI with humility, empathy, and a shared sense of responsibility, we can shape it into a force for good. Innovation doesn't have to erode dignity, it doesn't have to widen inequality, it doesn't have to undermine democracy. With guardrails, transparency, and collaboration, it can expand opportunity, strengthen justice, and help us tackle challenges from climate change to global inequality. Still, it's going to take work, real work, the kind that requires patience in the face of complexity, courage when the path isn't clear, and a willingness to bridge divides that technology alone can't fix. And it means remembering that democracy isn't just a form of government, it's a practice. one that demands vigilance, empathy, and a shared commitment to truth, even when truth feels fragile. In a world shaped by algorithms that mimic our impulses, it becomes even more important to decide which impulses we feed, whether we choose connection over convenience, responsibility over speed, justice over indifference. Because in the end, AI won't just reflect our intelligence, it will reflect our character. So as we look toward a future that feels uncertain, maybe even overwhelming, I think the challenge before us is simple. Even if the work isn't, we have to build with intention, lead with moral clarity, and ask ourselves again and again what kind of world we want to leave behind. Because the future isn't something that happens to us, it's something we choose piece by piece through the values we uphold and the obligations we refuse to ignore. And so I'll leave you with this. As AI grows more powerful, will we have the wisdom to guide it with justice in our hearts? Will we recognize that progress without humanity isn't progress at all? And will we have the courage to shape the future not with fear, but with a steady, shared hope?